Hey there. So in this little live streaming session, I'm going to try to add Google Maps to a React application. So I'm not super familiar with React, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So let's start with create React template. So create React, and we're going to use the TypeScript template. So while this is loading here, so I'm going to try to aim for getting just a marker on a map, and let's see if we can get to there. Let's clean this up here. It looks like it failed. And I'm going to use a little helper library to incorporate the Google Maps JavaScript. So this is a wrapper component, basically, that allows us to load the JavaScript library for Google Maps dynamically instead of through a script tag in head. If we look here, we should probably see the pattern for outside of framework usage, and especially outside of like a component usage. Yeah, so this wrapper makes use of another library that kind of wraps all of this into a callback and promise pattern. So if we look here, we can see it's using this library. So, and then here's our promise usage. So loader.load, and then google.maps is available in the kind of resolve path. So let's go back here. So this is one layer on top of that other library specific to React, allowing us to do, handle various states such as, the API is loading, there's a failure in loading. Neither of these are very significant, but are situations which you might want to handle. This is usually just, the order of milliseconds, and this one doesn't happen too often. So looks like we're getting almost ready with our create React template. All right. And almost there. So we're basically going to replace all of this code here with our map. So let's just make sure everything works here. So we'll just put map, and then what is it, npm start. It's going to start our dev server at, it should be right here we go. And that's what we expect. So let's put a map here. So everything's working as expected here. So let's clean this up a little bit. We don't need that. So, okay, I guess let's get another little tab here for we want to install the Google Maps / React wrapper. And so this uses this pattern of wrapper, which does the loading and then renders the children components once the loading has completed. So we are now have this available. So what we want to do, let's see here, let's just import this. So we want a wrapper. We're not going to use status for this, that's more of a special use case. So we're going to replace all of this code. So then it's wrapper, and then child components, and then let's say, we could just say google.maps is available, which it should be at this point. So we're in TypeScript here, so API key is required, and we'll just leave it null for now. Let's see if that works, because I don't want to have to deal with API keys. So let's see here. Here we go. All right. So basically, this part only renders once the Google Maps JavaScript API has been loaded. If we look in here for our console, there may or may not be a, yep. So no API keys because we have this, but we're gonna ignore that for now. So as the pattern suggests here, we want to kind of insert our own component. So we're gonna make another, we'll just call it map.tsx and export default, function map, something like that. Return null for now. Let's see what here. What did I do wrong here? Let's just go back and look at this example. Let's just copy this pattern. Keep it consistent. So map no. All right. So let's go into here. And instead of this just paragraph, let's replace this with map. And then we gotta do our import. And we can probably clean up the CSS since that doesn't matter for this example. So now let's see what we get here. All right. Let's take a look at the elements. So nothing is showing up in root because this doesn't render anything. This is returning null at this point. So let's go back to, this is our map component. So for this, we are going to use a React hook, use effect, and then, so we're going to basically just, well, there's two things we need to do here. So first we need to do, let's const ref is equal to use ref, or actually do we want to create ref? Let me see here. Let's look at the example here for what we got. Let's just use ref. I don't know why it's sticking a null in there. And let's just use ref. I forget what the difference is for that. And let's just copy and paste this over. So we might have to adjust some globals, or actually let's just do types Google.maps, and that should make, of course I need to install. And this should make the Google.maps on window available to us in TypeScript. Let's start simple here with, we'll just start with hard-coded values. We'll decide whatever Copilot decides is good there for latitude and longitude, I guess. All right, so sometimes TypeScript's annoying. Let's just skip that for now. Let's check how our compiling is doing. Let's clean this up. All right. So that's building. Let's see what was rendering here. So we probably have to return something here, don't we? So I know I did this in the previous example. Dogs barking. All right. Type mutable ref object is so that wasn't what I needed. 1 second here. I might just cheat. Where's the strict false? So it's complaining because 1 is undefined, 1 is potentially null, and I don't have to deal with that. All right. All right, so we have our root element, we have our map. Oh, there's something showing up here now, which is what we want. So one of the gotchas with Google Maps is always having to apply a height. So let's go to style. Well, let's define a style object for this component. Let's go with const style, and it will get the width without any issue, but we need to basically set the height. So let's just, sure, we can do the full screen height. So there we go. That's what we expect to see here now. Since we're not passing an API key, we're getting development purposes only, which is also what we expect. All right. So let's see here. What do we want to, if we were going to do this example, so this example has map centered in Australia with a single marker somewhere in Australia. So, this is being used as the center and the position for the marker. And let's go up to the app and let's see about passing that through. Const, we'll just call it center equal to that. All right, and then we're gonna pass center to our map object. And it's complaining because we don't have that set on our object. And then so center is, we can use google.maps.lat long literal. And then let's add it to our use effect. So I guess a little tricky here is, do we care if the center updates or not from our parent component? We could start with this, although I think React is going to complain about this. Let's see here. This needs to be center is center, something like that. So that should compile with TypeScript. I think React will complain about this since I'm not passing in that prop into the use effect, but maybe it will. Let's see here. So it looks like we're aligned with our center here over Australia. I guess we also need to do zoom. So and then zoom. Let's see what this other example had. 4. It's almost like Copilot had already seen that code, which it has. Zoom. Let's go back to this. And we're not setting it at this point. There we go. Voila. Looks like it matches to me. So now it gets a little trickier because this is actually showing in a marker at that same center point. And with the way React is, we need to kind of use the children to kind of pass in this map object to all of the children of, that component. So if we go back to our app, we might have something that looks more like this, and maybe we have, like a marker, where position is equal to, we can do something like this. Let me add another component here for, just duplicate this one so I can, marker everywhere. So for this one, we're probably going to return null, since we're not actually going to return any kind of node or HTML element. We're not going to use style. We're not going to use a reference to an element. We probably are going to use the use effect hook though. So instead of creating a map, maybe I should just start it from scratch. So position. We'll just get, let's not zoom on markers, of course. All right, so I think I cleaned up here. So now, new google.maps.marker position. So that should make our marker. We need to go import it over here though, I guess. Import marker. So yeah, so basically our map object does prop. So we go back here, we got children, and let's define it. What is this gonna be? Is it a React node? I guess it's gonna complain if it isn't. Okay, good guess, I guess. So we have children. So this isn't actually doing anything with those child components. Let's just do some debugging here. So this isn't going to show up. To get this to show up correctly, we need to render these other components in the parent component. So now it's getting to the point of that debugging of our position. There's a key component here missing, is that a marker is no good without having a map. So if this was a marker, we need to call marker.setMap. At this point, we have no map object. So we need map. All right, so this is what we need to get to. We don't probably need this in the use effect hook. We do need it here, but now we're in a state where marker is not defined. Const, let's use maybe a use state. Looks good here. Just need this import. So now instead of setting it like this, let's just go set marker. All right. So a whole bunch of errors just blew up right now. We're still missing map. What's the best way to handle this? So we also have an issue where set map marker is still potentially null because of the way this happens. So let's, if marker, we could do this to just start this guard, and then marker dot set position, so that way it will capture updates. But we're in this crazy loop right now. So let's see here, what do we need to do? Possibly something like this. So our use effect only runs once. Let's clear this. All right. So surprised it actually compile. We get anything working here because, marker should not be, it should be undefined potentially. So property map is missing in type position. So let's see here. What is that? So that's actually, all right. So here I made it so that the position was not in our use effect. Use effect will only run on the initial mounting of this component. And so this actual creation of the marker doesn't happen more than once. And then here, if the marker is defined, we set it to map. Map here is going to always be undefined because we're not actually passing it from our parent yet. And then it's just going to constantly update the position as that prop changes. So this looks like about what we want. So now we need to go back to our map component, because here is where we need to pass basically the map to all the elements that we want to show on the map. So this is where it gets a little tricky. So we need to basically React, what is it? Children dot map, and then child, and then we want to do React dot clone element child, and then we want to pass in map, and then we want my map. We'll just leave it like this. So something along those lines. Let's see what the error here is. X52 arguments got 1. Let's do some Googling. Let's go to Stack Overflow. So this looks at the pattern, and there's 2 elements. It looks like React map children, child. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, this is children. Start. Oops. Clumsy. All right, let's see here. So that's the outer bracket. All right, let's just see what this child element is. I'm just probably going to take a shortcut here and just say, React element. So I don't have, so no, this isn't always the case if depending on how your usage pattern is. Here I know I'm passing in a specific component. It could be a string. You need to be able to handle for that case. So what we want to do is pass the map to the child component. So for this pattern, we probably need to do something similar where we use a set use state. So let's go down here, my IDE, and the config for ESLint or whatever doesn't seem to be agreeing with the React defaults. So map, set map, use state, yeah, that seems right. And then let's do state. Where am I using React node? Okay. And then let's see here. So map is working, except I haven't set the map. So set map. So that works. And then what I want to probably do is move the center and zoom out of the initialization, and we'll just kind of always allow that to change. So, if map.set center, center map.set zoom. There could be some weird interactions with users at this point. Looks like it's blowing up in terms of rendering. Let's check this out. So probably what we need to do here is it's constantly making a new map. It's constantly passing this new map to the child. And so it's basically an infinite loop. So if that stops it. So voila, looks like we're matching the example we had minus the key and the development version. Let's go back to what we had, close this little tab. And so we can still move around. We could do some other things where our map component is updating instead of some state within the component. It could be updating some context or some, passing that, the center of the map or whatever to another parent component or sibling component. But we're not going to worry about that for now. And let's see here. Anything else? Maybe we should try adding another marker. Let's see what happens. Should be 2 markers, no problem. Let's clear this so we don't have to worry about that. Let's do, here's set a bunch of positions. So const positions. Sure. We'll throw in our center. Let's do, I wonder where I guess it's pulling from this. Let's just put in another one that's modified just ever so slightly. And then, all right. So we have positions, and let's do positions, positions.map. Position. Yay, we got multiple markers. There should be another one somewhere. Where is that one? Center. I guess these are all the same. Let's make this. So yeah, 3 markers. Let's do something else here. So there was another example that I made recently, and it was, so let's see here. So let's play with moving the camera and see how that works with React. So we're gonna install tween. I think that's how you say it. And so this also, I believe, requires the beta version and a map ID. So we need to do beta. So let's go to here, our wrapper version equals to beta. So now we're loading beta version of Google Maps. I think this also needs a map ID for our map. We'll just reuse this one since we can do that. It's going to be lazy and hard code this into the initialization call. So now we have a map ID. It should have changed our style potentially. Looks like it. Yeah. So a bunch of labels went away. It's a little bit cleaner right now. So we still have all these. Oh, that. Let me get rid of that console.log. I don't. All right. So what were we trying to do? So we're trying to get the camera to do some crazy move camera with the, what is it called? Map.moveCamera. So you can see the code here. So basically what we do is we create a new tween object where we are kind of moving through the camera options. Basically the tilt, heading, zoom, center to some target, and then how long it takes and kind of the path, like what we do. And to integrate with the map, we call on the update map.moveCamera. So let's go to map. Actually, how do I want to incorporate this into React? This could be something where you use a parent. This actually probably won't work very well. I think what I'm gonna, let's have a little fun here where instead of this portion right here, let's every movement that we pass in for center and zoom, we tween to it. So let's go, oh, that's gonna be tricky. Like, how does React work with that, I guess? Because we don't want to be creating a new tween every time the render happens. I guess there's probably a way to cancel. So that's probably what we need to do. So and then we need to use state tween. Good try there, I guess, from Copilot, equals use state. And then this is going to be a tween. Did I not? Oh, I might have to install the TypeScript version of that. Let's see here. Let's look it up. I think we want this one. Yeah. Just double check here. This is older. All right. And we don't want that installed as a dependency. Let's just install it as a dev dependency. Let's go, let's see here. I think it's, all right. I'm not sure what remove does exactly. Doesn't seem like TypeScript likes this. Let's go to the user guide. So it should be a stop. So it's probably, this is not right. I'm gonna go cheat and look at something I did before for this example, which is already in TypeScript. Move camera ease. So, yeah. Oh, we're cheating here. It's okay to cheat with TypeScript sometimes. All right. So if we have an existing tween, we stop. I wonder. What am I doing? So I'm just going to wrap this into another use effect that will only trigger on changes in position or the center and zoom. And so let's go into here. All right, so this callback will execute if any of these change. Wrap map could initially be null, so we wrap it in there. If tween exists already, we stop the previous tween. And now we want to do the fun part, which is create a new tween, and then I'm gonna go cheat and look at my example because I can't remember how to do this. So new tween, and we want to be able to basically, it's gonna be from to, then to, how long we want to take. We'll just say a second. Our function start, and then we need to do on update, we need to move our map. So we have a couple things to define here, and this is going to be our options. Should have a center, should have zoom. Basically, we're doing this. Instead of using these unanimated versions, we're going to use move camera. And just like that. And then to and from. So from, we're basically going to be, where are we currently? So center is map.getCenter, and then zoom is map.getZoom. And to, we're going to be center zoom. Let's see what happens here. So we're going to be in a weird state where I don't think this is going to quite work. We might have to refresh this page. Positional. Where is positional? I don't have a... we didn't actually start our tween. That's the last part. So let's start our loop. So there's probably going to be some weird behavior here. Let's see here. So yeah, we need to move. We don't probably just move this out completely of the use effect. All right. There's probably a weird scenario going. Let's do some console debugging. So this is going to be undefined. And probably tween has an issue with how to go from undefined to something else. So yeah. So basically, let's leave that there to debug. Basically, we need to start with something. So let's just do center, let 0, no island. Let's change the zoom from what we had earlier. Okay. So the map is rendering. Wow, this is blowing up. A.lat is not a... So something here is not happy. So center. Let's just do some more logging. Probably what's happening, Tween does not know how to interpolate between this lat long object when we need to turn it into a JSON. Oops. Ah, sloppy. This is, of course, a number already. So that's working. It moved. Let's make it a little slower. Huh. There's probably some crazy performance issues going on right now. So no guarantees on using this pattern. Let's decrease this a little bit. I wonder why. I imagine the rendering is, it's a little bit smoother. Let's play around with our center. Get a little bit more movement. So there we go. We have a React map component. It's using the Google Maps React wrapper to make it easy to load the script. Here we're actually loading the beta version. We have a map, and then we have a bunch of positions that we are mapping into a whole series of markers. We could add even more markers and kind of just demonstrate that declarative kind of pattern. And the marker, really the only tricky part to the marker isn't in the marker component, it's in the map component, because we have to be able to pass this line right here. We have to basically pass in this map to all the child components. So there we have it. So we have all of our dynamically generated map with markers in React. Probably future videos I could show how to tie, say the bounds of this map. I just moved it around. Maybe I want to get that center or bounds and use that in my application for some other purpose in a different component outside of the map. And so, we could cover some of those type of topics. But that's all I have for now. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm actually pretty glad I got it to work. So awesome. Thank you very much.